Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be giving you my review of the latest and super great episode of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which was a massive improvement over its past two episodes. That's right, not one but two episodes were kind of duds, but this one was great, and I hope they follow this formula for the rest of the season because we don't have many episodes left. Now, before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review, so if you're not caught up on Monarch Legacy of Monsters by the latest episode, which is episode 6, which dropped tonight on Apple TV, you do not want to keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, a big improvement over the past two episodes. This episode actually had interesting character backstory and development. We saw a blossoming romance between Shaw and Keiko, which is interesting considering in the very first episode we saw Randa and Keiko together right before Keiko's untimely death into a nest of monsters. So how that dynamic is going to play out is very intriguing to me, especially since Randa got the clue that his two colleagues seem to have a thing for each other, and he led himself and that other scientist away by telling him, you know, it's worse than being the third wheel, being the fourth wheel. Come on, let's go give him some privacy, you know. So Randa wasn't unaware of what was going on between them, I guess. So it's interesting knowing that dynamic, that there seems to be something there between Keiko and Shaw, despite the fact that the first episode shows Keiko and Randa together. So how that's going to turn out and happen, I'm very intrigued about it. And I liked seeing, you know, their developing relationship throughout this episode about doing what they want to do versus what they have to do, which is, you know, the betterment or for the good of Monarch. And I also loved how the two storylines kind of intersected at a point where we see the similar device used in both the past and the present, which seemed to, for the most part, be used to summon or lure out Godzilla. One time, you know, he was sleeping in the water. The other time, he was sleeping under a mountain somewhere in the Algerian desert. And I don't know why anybody would want to wake him up, considering the damage he did on G-Day, but apparently Hiroshi seems to have a purpose. Like, he's finally entered the game. Like, their father has now been found, and he is indeed alive. And for whatever reason, he has summoned Godzilla. And Godzilla woke up, shook himself off, and just started walking. Where the hell he's going and what he's planning to do, who the hell knows? But Shaw and his new friend Duval seem to be determined to go after him and find out. And it sounds like Shaw wants to help Godzilla because Shaw probably knows that Godzilla is key to preventing another Titan attack like the one experienced on G-Day in San Francisco. Or maybe he's just curious about what Godzilla's up to. Who knows? But of course, the kids just want to find their pops. And that's where they seem to have come to an impasse, although I'm sure their paths will converge once again. I'm not entirely sold that Tippett and his men on the helicopter are dead. Just because Shaw said no one survived the helicopter crash doesn't necessarily mean that they're dead. I feel like if you're going to kill off a character like Tippett, he would have a very on-screen death. So, not convinced the Monarch team on the helicopter is dead. No surprise at all that they quickly figured out where our characters were going. So that wasn't shocking at all. And I wasn't shocked about May's betrayal or deal she had, which was like, sell these guys out and the Monarch gets her back home to where she's originally from. But of course, that truth came to the surface, and which led to Kate telling her to go to hell, basically. And now they're stuck with each other out in the desert, marching towards civilization, while Shaw and Duval go after Godzilla. I mean, this episode felt like it hit all the check boxes, which is interesting human and character dynamics balanced with awesome monster sequences. Like, instead of seeing Godzilla in the past tense. We finally got to see him in the present. We didn't see him in the 1950s or back on G-Day from 2014. We saw him in the present. He was asleep underneath the ground in the desert, in the Algerian desert, somewhere in Africa, seemingly wakened up. He's brushed himself off, and God knows where he's going right now. And is Hiroshi leading him somewhere? Who the hell knows? But we've got 3 more episodes left this season, and I'm sure they're all going to be doozies. I'm feeling myself reinvigorated and really excited for what's to come in the next 3 episodes. I'm sure they're going to be great, and I hope they keep this formula going, because this episode had everything. This episode had everything that I feel like the past 2 episodes were sadly lacking. You know, lack of cool monster sequences, lack of interesting human character story development. This episode redeemed itself for that, for the past 2 episodes. At least I felt like I did. I felt very captivated, very engaged with what was happening on screen in this episode, and it leaves me wanting more. And I had a big shit-eating grin on my face when I saw Godzilla emerging from both the water and from under the ground in the past and present, and he looks great. It's so good to see him again in present context, of course. So I'm very excited what the next 3 episodes have in store for us. Hopefully they're just as good, if not better, than this episode. What did you guys think of this episode? Who are you shipping, Keiko and Lee or Keiko and Randa? Give me your thoughts and reasons down below why in the comments section as to who you want to see matched up with. Or are you just here for Godzilla like I am? Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Monarch Legacy of Monsters drops new episodes every Friday and late Thursday nights on Apple TV. Have a good one, everyone. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.